Hello, this is Terry. I'm going to show you how I prepare and plant my sugar cane. What I normally do is disc the field and have the soil all ready to go, and then I open up a trench or a row. And the way I do that is I took a root rake from a box blade behind my tractor and I welded a plow onto it. And I put the plow in the very center and it opens up a row. And then I take my cane and chop it up between the knots. You see the little eye there? You have to plant it in October or November, maybe even December, preferably right around the first frost of the year. The fresher the cane, the better. This little eye will come out here. The reason I chop them up, some people just lay the whole stalk in the row, but it's so thick that you really can get a lot more out of it by chopping it. You can't run it through the stripper because the stripper, you see the eyes there, are broken off. This won't come up, but this will. And the tops will sprout. I got probably half a ton from just where I've been throwing the waste, and it came up there. So you open up a row and you take about 2 steps or a step and a half, I'd say 4 feet apart, and drop a couple, 1 or 2 of these joints of the cane. Just chop it between the joints and drop it in there. And also you want to make the rows far enough apart. In other words, where your tractor wheel went making one row, you want the tractor wheel outside when you come back into the other row. If you have it wide enough, you could run a riding lawnmower through there and cut the weeds out when it gets too high for you to go over it without breaking it off. So that's the way I plant it. And when it comes up, I'll try to plow it when it's up about 3 to 4 feet high, because it can still bend over and the tractor can go over it. And I plow it and throw the dirt up on it, but I throw about a good handful of triple 13 fertilizer right on each stalk. And when it comes up, it just bushes out into maybe 15 or 12, 15 stalks, and they'll grow, depending on the amount of water you get, they'll grow from 10 to 12 feet high. Then when it comes time to cut, that is always a problem, because you either got to chop it with something or you got to bend over with a chainsaw and cut it. And about 30 minutes of being bent over like that, you'll be hurting. And so I had a friend who had 6-foot hay mower. It cuts real close to the ground, but it had some problems, so they just gave it to me because the gears were stripped out and they hadn't bought another one. And so I cut it down because I didn't want it to reach over and hit the other rows. And this will go right beside the tractor. The tractor hooks up to the 3-point here. This goes beside the tractor, and these 3 here make about 4 feet that will just cut the cane off. And when I cut it down, some of the bad gears like this one with the teeth broken, were up in here. So all I did was move the ones from the good section that were good from the section that I cut off. And I cut a piece of wood, and sealed it good with silicone to keep the oil. You have to keep a lot of oil in these things. But you can just go down the row with it revved up pretty high, and once you cut off the part, when you're mowing grass, it's got a cover on it. But the cane can't fall over behind it when you cut it. It'll fall in front, and you cut it all up if it has the guard and all that stuff on top of it. So I cut all that off, and when I go down the row, it just cuts it, and all the cane, every once in a while some fall forward, but usually there's another bunch that stops it from falling down. It'll just fall behind it, and you just rip it all down, and then it's easy to pick up and load. I'll show you some over here that I've done right behind my house. About 3 weeks ago, I was selling cane to people who wanted just 50 or 100 stalks to plant some of their own. This is the green, or some people call it the white strain of cane. It's not the dark or the purple. This kind of cane makes much sweeter. It makes much better syrup. So you can see here these are already sprouting back up from just 3 weeks. Once you get it planted, you don't have to do anything but just keep cutting it down every year and throw a little fertilizer on it and hope you get enough rain. This grew very well because we had several hurricanes that came near Mobile, Alabama, and north of Mobile, and it just made it grow like crazy by getting more water than it usually gets, because usually November is a very dry month. But see, with that short piece, you go down through here and cut it off, and then you straddle this row and come over here and cut off this row. Some of this right here is kind of sketchy. In the big field down near the creek, it's very close, but what happened, I was setting up the plow and I plowed up a bunch of it right here. This was just right behind my house, so I just kind of practiced here, but normally you can see how thick it grows through here. So you need them about every 4 apart, because believe me, look at all those stalks there. When they bush out, it's not like a stalk of corn that grows up. One root structure will support, there's 15 right there in that one, anywhere from 10 to 15, some of them maybe even 20. Right over here beside this shed, I once burnt some trash, not trash, but trash trees and limbs and stuff like that. This grew so thick and so high. This was the best growing of anywhere. You can see this hill right here, 10, 12, like 20 something stalks on that one hill right there. This was enormously high. It's a lot of shoots. I will come back over this and cut all this with a bush hog and cut it down really low so that it won't freeze. I'll probably do that around or after Christmas so it doesn't sprout out so bad. Then probably go down through it and throw a little bit of dirt up on it to help keep it from freezing. Some people that have the hay rakes will just rake this debris right up on top of it rather than plowing it. So this was a very small area here, but it made 2 trailer loads. You get about 90 gallons of juice from a ton, from 2,000 pounds of cane stalks. And from that, from 90 gallons, you get about 30 gallons of syrup, because you lose about 70% in water. Also, this is used in many places to make ethanol. It'll burn. It's very good for reducing fuel. Also, another thing, especially those tops, if you take those tops of the sugar cane that are broken off because they got so many leaves and everything, not worth running through the juicer, through the mill and juicing, and run those tops through a chipper, because it has so much sugar in it, it feeds the bacteria. It makes an excellent mulch, because the bacteria just love that sugar that's in there. So we may have some over here. But I made quite a bit from the tops one year with a chipper, and use that mulch like in the garden. And it grows plants like crazy. Well, that with fertilizer and water, but just having the sugar in there that supports the microbes really boosts the production of any kind of crops. Okay, that's it.